Hey there, welcome back to part two of this conversation on safety and security. And if you hadn't watched part one, you definitely want to go back and check that out. I'm with my guest, George, who is a parent, first and most importantly, among the many other very important jobs he holds, being a parent is number one priority. So, in part one, we spoke about helping kids develop discernment and the wherewithal to tell when a threat is being posed. And we are back, and George, you were just trying to educate us a bit on how you've handled it and what you've seen work in your household when it comes to how your kids should relate to the people you permit to be around them. And the next thing that I wanted to bring up, and you mentioned it a bit, you touched on it, this issue of phones and technology in general, that has changed the playing field so much. And it's as though we're raising our kids in an entirely different world than what we grew up in.
Yes.
How are you dealing with the whole technology issue?
Wow. So yes, technology is definitely a new one for us. As I remember when Facebook started in I think 2006, 2007, and just the social media explosion that has happened and really made this to become part of our lives. So we are contending, or our children are contending with issues that we had not even imagined, and things are changing every day. How do we tackle this as parents, and how do I do it at home? So I love technology myself. Interestingly, because my work is based on technology, not that I'm in the tech field, but I use technology to deliver my work because I work with colleagues all over the world. And we rely on technology to connect us and to get things done. And there's the beauty of technology. But then there are also the dangers of technology in many angles of it. For our children, I think it's, if in my own understanding and my little research, a good chunk of the tech solutions that we have one element in common, so that you can use them over and over. So some sort of hook that leads you to the next and to the next, which is detrimental both to children's brains to just take a break, and also just the rest and to do other things. And even if I watch as adults how we kind of struggle, we're on our phone scrolling on Facebook and Twitter and all of them, and the children with the Instagrams and the TikTok that has really changed things, all those short videos and everybody's going video. For me and for us in our house, that has been a journey. One, I think I've strived to learn about technology, to understand, so that when my children are interacting with technology, and most parents are playing catch up with their children, in technology, because the children always have learned something ahead of them. So I watch my daughters play with Snapchat and, make videos and do that on my phone. I've had to force myself to stay awake, to understand IG, to understand TikTok, and to also just understand, how they dealing with that. But beyond that, I've also put, limits on either gadgets that they have. It's not been the most successful part of my parenting, but I put limits in terms of fast oversight over their accounts, oversight over, what they watch, and, setting all the controls, the parental controls that need to be there. Sometimes to the chagrin of my daughters, who feel very frustrated that, let's say, that probably the TikTok that they've bumped into has nothing, as appealing as other things. So just being able to understand that technology and to demonstrate that confidence, especially to my daughters, that I understand technology. So, I'm not averse to it. So you'll be playing games, I'll be with you, So there are things that they will do and enjoy, but they are aware that daddy is with us. He knows, so we can't play those games. But also to create to just tell them about all the dangers of, you know, technology and what it brings, the portal that it opens to the external world. And I found that in a number of, you know, games where, you know, you get an anonymous player on the other end, and my daughters would bring to me and say, this person is trying to chat me, and I'm like, you know, just block them. And reminding them about dangers online. Now, we've been fortunate at our school that the school has organized a couple of talks for parents, bringing what we call them digital experts, that also are either counselors, so combine psychology, a deep understanding of a digital space, and that has allowed us, even as parents, you know, even the ones that are not superbly interested, to begin to understand, you know, how to help children navigate that space. So, because they need to play, they need to be online. How do you manage, you know, the time that they're spending online? How do you ensure that there's this cutoff and you need to go physically play with your friends? And so we've tried to regulate those ones and to try and ensure that people are not bored, so pick a gadget, and then still use the gadgets for their homework and for their own learning. So that's because there's tons and tons of things to do, but also allowing them to play, but to play within confines. So we've been intentional about learning how, you know, technology is. We've been intentional about how our children use it and what sort of parameters or what sort of boundaries we set that they follow and that they know and appreciate. But the issue of phone, of course, so, you know, my daughter has reminded me over and over, and anticipates a phone this birthday because everybody has it in class, has been a conversation of like a pet. We're trying to tell them, you want a pet? Are you ready to walk the pet? Are you ready to feed the pet? It's the same with the phone. Are you responsible enough to know when to use it and to use it formally? And we're like, what do you want to use the phone for? To call you? Then why don't you use the Mulika Muizi, which is, you know, our phone here? Why do you need an iPhone if it's just for calling friends? Then they confess it's beyond calling. We want to play games and stuff. And just beginning to tell them how much responsibility comes with having a phone and with being online, and how their safety is paramount. While it's really good for them to call me with it, are their minds ready to, you know, say, now stop? And I keep telling them, you have to demonstrate that with the gadgets that you have now to convince us that then you're ready to handle this. Because we as parents sometimes struggle with it. You'll find us always on our phone, you know. Yeah.
You know, the digital space, what technology has done, I would say, just to the human experience, it has changed everything about our lives, every single industry. And a lot of those changes have been very positive, but it has also brought along with it some very grave dangers. And to just tie that into our topic of the day, allowing a 10-year-old, 9-year-old to have a phone, which is becoming the norm, especially like in urban setups, there's also a door you've opened. There are things your child will have access to, and those things include people with not very good intentions. In fact, it includes people with outrightly devilish agendas sometimes, you know, and along with the really good phone, which can be used to keep them safe, like you want your kids to be able to call you, you want them to be with it as far as technology is concerned, because a lot of the learning is done there. There's also the danger. And a few years ago when I was in uni, there's a show I used to listen to, and it was a family show where parents would call in, and one time they happened to be talking about tech and, you know, phones and gadgets, and the conversation ended up being about a lady who had her 11-year-old son groomed by someone he had met online. Someone befriended the child, created a false sense of security. The parents are working, they're busy, they're unaware, you know, and this person works their way into a child's life into your home right under your nose. And for them, it had gone so far that he had managed to get the 11-year-old to sexualize his 4-year-old brother. Yeah, the conversation went on for a while because that's what predators do. And then at some point, when the child feels seen and heard, like they've made a friend, this person starts asking for pictures and nudes and stuff. So how far along are you in the conversation with your girls on the fact that yes, a phone is good, yes, it's inevitable at some point, even if not this month or this year, you will have a phone, but you require a certain kind of maturity to handle it so that they don't feel like you're depriving them. How far along are you in that convo?
I mean, it's still work in progress in trying to, bring the gist of the dangers, while also still appreciating. So you'd find, like in extreme situations, such an incident happens. But also even just with normal interaction, you find a lot of videos that sometimes teach your children principles that don't align with your own value systems as a family and as the things that we've subscribed to, And so that, and some of them are pretty subtle. And I think it's extremely intentional. And so we are having conversations. For games, we're very cautious. We don't joke. We say, strangers chatting you or trying to move a conversation, let's say, like, because they probably are playing, they like playing with their friends, so get on to, is it Minecraft or whatever game it was, and they play. And so they know that I'm playing with, my classmates, so and so. But they say, sometimes somebody pops in to try and join the game. And what we say is, okay, maybe you're playing and they're joining. If you see them beginning to like move the conversation, away from the game, or to introduce a new aspect, or something that, you wants to lead you to build a new sort of relationship beyond the game, and you don't know them, then just block them. And so that's still going on. But also dealing with value systems has been, one major one for us, to try and say, okay, so you bump in and watching this video, and you'd find my daughter probably doing the full lyrics of a song, and the mom is pulling her hair, telling me, where did she learn this, and just telling her, this is actually what you're singing, and this is basically what it's implying, and this is really not you, and this is not really what you want, So interesting songs that I don't want to mention here, but really funky, and we find that they're actually meant for that age group. So it kind of starts grooming them to pick and adopt, attitudes and practices that then normalize things that are not aligned to our value systems. So it's an ongoing conversation, reminder, and of course the children are getting smarter as well. And with the pressure around them, they want to know, So it's to help them know that, yes, that tide exists, but, you need to navigate it with this level of awareness. You need to, when you're online, what are the do's and don'ts, how, what conversations can you get into? For now, still trying to restrict, like if they're playing a game, they'll just play it with their classmates so that they know, and not with, interesting people inviting them online. So just say that behind, you cannot know who's behind. They can pretend to be a 13-year-old girl and they are 23-year-old man, in some part of the world. But it's still work in progress. I think the elder one is beginning to, get the gist of it. The younger one is still slightly younger. But I guess that it's something that we have to do over and over. And especially when we still have the window of parenting, where they still listen to us. So that's not going to be there for a while.
That changes after a while. And this topic on safety, security, and just everything pertaining to it is so vast. Even off camera, when we were talking, you mentioned something that was work related, something related to your work.
Yes.
And you mentioned 3 aspects of safety, which were...
So, picking, borrowing from my work, we look at three aspects of safety. We look at physical safety and just helping people to understand the space within them and to be cautious about things, to just that spatial awareness. Where's danger? How do you deal with that? How do you watch who's doing what? And just to have a third eye that sees things that maybe normal people don't pay attention to. And then there's the digital side of it, where just how do you navigate the internet? How do you ensure that you're not clicking malware, installing them on your laptop, and opening yourself to many problems. So both even as a child, but also even as an adult, what sites are you visiting? What emails are you just clicking aimlessly when you have links and all? But also just the mental side of it. How are you taking care of yourself, both in your physical space and in your digital space? That ensures that you're resting your brain, that ensures that the content that you're consuming is building your self-esteem, building your technical knowledge, building your positive attitude, and not necessarily, putting you in competition. I'm prettier, or I'm uglier, or, so especially for children beginning to, because they are living in that digital world, that the world of likes, so how then do you not base your happiness on the number of likes or comments on your videos or harsh comments? So just working to develop a level of immunity to either what people are saying, or also not trying to draw your validation by what people are saying or doing that online. Yeah.
And I think that would, in a lot of ways, provide a framework as far as the conversation on safety and security for children is concerned, where the physical safety, we tackle that in part one. There's the danger within and the danger without. The danger within, the people we know, how you introduce them to your kids, you already touched on that. The kind of sense of security you create for your children within your own home. And then there is the danger without, which is stranger danger. This one used to be our only worry back then. A stranger would grab you, something like that. And that's another aspect of the conversation that children need to know about. And then there is the mental kind of safety, which you've also mentioned, that like the psychological one. And then there's the digital safety, which again, I think they all intertwine.
Yes, they are.
And the bottom line, I feel like, is how well you've worked at developing or equipping your child, so that whether the danger is physical or psychological, whether they're experiencing it in their space or on digital platforms, that they're able to discern it. Number two, that you've opened up lines of communication, as you've said, you're intentional on doing. Like, I love this whole open door policy parenting, which I know you're big on. It has come up once when we were talking about more or less the same thing. And helping your children know that you're reachable. You're reachable and they're your priority. And you also spoke about how intentional you are about telling your kids that you love them. Tell us a bit more about the importance of laying a foundation of love, even when we're talking about the safety, security, wherever it is they encounter it.
Yes. So I mean, I think a foundation of love is paramount, especially for a relationship between, parents and children, in the sense that all of us and a number of, issues emanate from people searching for that feeling of acceptance, of belonging, of love. And so if I remember, this lesson that I got early that talked to your children about sex or someone else will, and this was a poster that when back in the HIV/AIDS days was a big billboard. But it's very applicable for any situation, that if I don't tell my daughters how much I love them and I value them, and we human beings are naturally disposed to that affirmation, to that reminder, that we belong and that we are loved and that we are cared for. Somebody else will tell them. Somebody else will put up something that looks like love that then they would go to. So we make it our business to remind them over and over that they are our first priority, that the things that we do for their own good, and that we love them. And I keep asking them, and they dismiss me. You know, I was like, "Do you know I love you?" And they're like, "Yes, I know." You know, but it's just that there's no doubt in their mind at any time that somebody is coming to tell them, you know, tell them you're beautiful, you're this, and even if you are not this, I love you. Just by the mere fact that you are my child, I love you enough. And that affirmation, I think, is important. And for me, I think it's even important for girls, like as a father of girls, that they hear it from me rather than probably from a man. Even in later years, they would grow up, they would understand, you know, that this is how I'm supposed to be treated, so that they also don't settle for less.
Right. And the reason why I would really love to this conversation on safety, security, and the wellness, the overall wellness of our kids is because a lot of predators, and research shows this. I came across this when I was, researching for the children's book and stuff. The one thing that predators are really good at is creating a false sense of security. But the aim of this person, the predator, is to get your child to put their guard down. And it's very easy to get a child to trust, because kids are more impressionable if they don't feel enough love from home. If I believe that pretty much every good parent loves their child. But it's important to not just feel the love, to communicate it, to offer it as the bottom line for everything. Even my no to the phone, to you having a phone right now. I love you, and I am your parent. I get to decide. God has entrusted me with the responsibility of you. So I feel like we should wait a bit longer, so that even when someone is trying to come at them with some kind of information, any kind of information, they're equipped to protect themselves. And there's one last thing I would like us to touch on really quickly, which is something one of the people behind the cameras brought up when we were on break. And it was about something that's going on, something that's becoming rather rampant, and that's indoctrination of our children online. Back to security in that space. Once again, how are you tackling that in your house? How are you guarding against a force that I think it's safe to say is beyond us? Because none of us can control technology. Exactly. But then again, what are you doing? Because it is your responsibility as far as the confines of your home and the wellness of your children.
Our house has been intent on our family values are this ones. The foundation that we want to give you is this and this and this and this. And we've focused on building that while allowing our children to experience that they're living in a world that is so dynamic, that is changing, that has enough of all these pressures that are pulling them, teaching them what matters to us and what we believe we have been instructed, as their custodians at this moment, to teach them in our ways. And then believing that, we have taught them of this is the genuine currency of our kingdom, of the Kugola kingdom. They can go out in the market, and when they interact, they will know that they're counterfeits in the market, but continue to remember that our genuine currency was based on 1, 2, 3 of ours. But also telling them that they live in a world that has many other value systems, and those value systems are competing for their attention, for their space. But the Kugola value system is based on this and this and this and this.
Right. And the bottom line of these conversations, this podcast, the children's book that's out in the market, the website we've created to go along with it, is the wellness, all-roundedness of our kids. And this conversation started off being about safety and security, but it ends up being about values, because whereas there are physical threats that are posed time and time again, there are also psychological threats, and how well a child is able to fare whenever there is a threat has everything to do with who they are as a person. And I love that you've taken it there. I love that you've even touched on the foundation of love, and I'm just really appreciative that you made the time to be here with me today. I know this is one of those topics we can't exhaust, and I hope parents, you're gonna find this useful. Continue to engage with us on our different social media platforms. Let us hear what you think about safety, security, and all the different aspects of it. I know today we touched on a lot, and that's all the time we had. So thank you so much, and keep watching the rest of our content and letting us know what you think. This conversation was recorded at Northcourt Apartments along Agwins Cortec Road. They have fantastic 3-bedroom apartments with servants' quarters, and you definitely want to come check them out when you get the chance.